Here we are in Rush Rally 3. We're doing a Rallycross Stage 15. The lighting is particularly good on this track, so I decided to use it to feature the Decal paint scheme on this car, which is a Karnu Classic GT, as stated in the game. However, it is very much like, or very similar to, a Toyota Celica GT-Four. The paint scheme I came up with here was applied to some cars in the 1990s. I've seen pictures of it from 1994 to 1997, and I tried to model it as best I could in the game. Very difficult to find a different paint scheme on the car than that supplied with the game. The only other variations I've found are different colors of different colors, swapping out the colors of the one supplied in the game. So I decided to look this car up and see what other options were available, and I found this one with a major sponsor of ESSO. We'll get a better look at the car because I'm now going to go into a replay of the race that I've only showed the last lap of from spin mode, or spin camera here. I'm going to take the car back to the beginning of the race. You can see there's an ESSO on the hood, ESSO on the side, there's an ESSO on the roof, and there's two more small ESSOs on the hood, and there's two on the rear wing. You can't see them from here, you'll see them from the top. As you can see, there are not a lot of decals on the back of it. I tried to come up with some other decals here that are major sponsors. I think Toyota would probably be a major sponsor. There are 3 Toyotas on it. There's 2 on the quarter panels on the front there, and one on each side, and there's one on the visor over the windshield. Those were all done very difficultly by doing a lettering, which is somewhat challenging. The color paint scheme in itself, the red and blue, is not overly challenged except for masking out the rear wing to get the contours of where it joins the bodywork lined up perfectly is extremely difficult, because depending on which angles you try to project your masks from, you end up contacting the hood, or when you're trying to do the trunk, when you're trying to do the trunk in red, you end up doing the rear wing. This car has 180 some odd decals on it. To do the ESSO there, I could not just use ESSO either, and symmetry even from side to side. To try to get a boldish look for the sides, I had to use these small or lowercase letters. So the E is actually made up of a Z, masking out part of the Z and filling in the rest of the E. So it entailed 4 additional decals to turn a Z into a capital E. Some of the other decals on here would have been, and you'll see on each of the 4 corners and the bumpers, it says Michelin on our decals on our car here. We do not have Michelin to use. It would have said Michelin on the original car. The original car did not have an awful lot of decals on it. It had a few more decals on it than I'm displaying. It had the driver's name on there as well, and around the number board there was a substantial difference in the decaling presented. There is one other decal I could not do on the car, so I used Rush Rally in its place. It was Ultron, which is in the middle of the hood. You can just barely see it there in the black. There's also one on the top of the rear wing. And you might notice just behind the headlights on the sides there, I came up with, well, a Michelin Man. Mine is substantially different than the one you'd probably recognize. He's a white guy with black outlines, Looks like he's built up with a lot of inner tubes. My Michelin's somewhat skinnier, all black, and holding a set of black tires on a platter. And below that, where I've got an R, the original car would have said OMP on each side. Otherwise, the decals, there were not that many on them. In front of the rear wheel there's a small, I use the bomber because that's what we've got in the game. The original would have had a Brimmer brake system. Let's go out of this and we'll take a look at in the vinyl section. So I'll need to go to upgrades, customize vinyl. Now we can actually take a look at the top of the car. There you can see from the top, the ESSOs would have been enhanced by, even if they were more bold than that, then I could make them. As I was saying, I put 2 Rush Rallies on the top of the car. You can see the one in the middle of the front hood and the rear wing there. You can also see there are 2 ESSOs outbound the Rush Rally on the wing and almost outbound on the hood. They would have been properly outbound of those on the hood. I decided not to put them over the little bulge vents there on the hood. Toyota might be a little bit different than as what on the original car. The Toyota symbol is fairly easy to make by using a bunch of circles and changing them to ovals, and I think there's 4 circles there and a small capital O to make the little circle that's at the top of the T within the circle of Toyota. You'll notice there is also a decal, what's made up of letters, behind the Toyota on the driver's door on each side there. Mine, I could not use bold lettering. It would have turned out much more like the original if I had used bold letters. So I made my lettering just a little bit larger than what on the original car. And down below it, there would have been a wording in the same language. I'm not sure if that's Italian or not, or what other language it is down there. Because the lettering is so small below that, I just decided to put a Brownmonster in. The end. As you can see, there are not an awful lot of decals on this car. It does look substantially different than the Karnu, which is Karnu Classic GT. This is a scheme, as I was saying, on a Toyota Celica GT-Four that was raced in the 1990s. I think it came out pretty good, fairly close to the original. I guess over top of the license plate there it says motor oil. It would have said Griffin oil, I believe, on the original car. And I have no idea what the back of the car looks like because I did not see any pictures of the back side of the car, although I did see just enough to show that there was a Michelin on the corner of the bumpers. So if you're interested in a car like this, you could try to do one up yourself, which would be very difficult. Because this was so difficult to do and involves so much decaling, I don't know if I'm going to upload this to make it available. Oops, I thought I said it took 180 decals to do that. It looks like it's only 166. I've got another one done. I'm going to load this. The boldness of the decal on the side is not, it doesn't say ESSO, it says KISS now, which is about the right boldness that the ESSO should have been in. This one I will definitely upload, should players be able to exchange decal schemes on their cars to other players in the game. I will upload this one. I may upload the one that's all done up, the 166 decals as well. Can't guarantee that, but this one I will. It looks pretty decent, I think. So that's the end of my video on doing a Toyota Celica GT-Four and Rush Rally 3. Hope you enjoyed the video.